Welcome everyone, my name is It's1985 and today we are going to take a look at Transformers Generations Deluxe Class Trail Cutter. This figure does come packaged in robot mode and it does come packaged with a comic, as you can see here in the background. Now as far as the figure itself, I'll be showing you the transformation from robot into a vehicle form. I did actually review the recolor retool of this figure, which is Hoist. So you can check that review out if you want to see the transformation from vehicle into robot. So let's take a look at TRAILCUTTER here, aka Trail Breaker. One thing I want to point out is, as you can see, the face sculpt does include some grayish blue, I guess more blue, light piping, and the Generation 1 Trail Breaker character and figure had red, basically red eyes, and so I don't know why Hasbro chose to use this color for the light piping. Not that it's a bad color, but it would have been kind of nice to have red. I suppose red may not show up as well in light piping form as the blue does. You can see there above the head there's the signature accessory that goes with the Trail Breaker Trail Cutter figure, which is the force field emitter, which is placed here over his head, a la Generation 1 style. And taking a look at the figure front to back, get a look at the design here. Of course it's black, red, so it does have some of the signature colors that the Generation 1 Trail Breaker figure had. And let's go ahead and go over articulation here. The actual head is on a swivel joint, and the head is actually on this little red plastic base here, and this tends to go sink back into the cavity there if you kind of try to articulate the head, so there is that little bit of annoyance there. You do have this gray piece of plastic that does tab into the torso here, and as you can see it does have the tendency to come loose. It's actually quite annoying. Not that it really hinders the functionality of the shoulders, but just more it looks bad and it doesn't really seem to hold in place. So there is that, at least on my figure. You have the shoulders on a ball joint. You actually have a swivel at the bicep, 90-degree bend at the elbow, and then you have the wrist here, which simply folds in due to the transformation. So articulation at the waist, there is articulation at the waist. Then you have the hips on ball joints, swivel at the thigh, bend at the knee 90 degrees, and that is all you have for articulation for this figure. In terms of the accessory, well, he has a weapon accessory here, or a weapon slash shield, I guess. I guess these are guns, and I guess you can use it like that as sort of a weapon. This figure does not come with a separate rifle or pistol or laser gun accessory, so there is not that present. And as far as I know, this actually pegs in the side of his forearm, and you have to fold in the hand, apparently. That's as far as I can tell. There's no other way you can really put the shield on there effectively. I mean, you can put it in his hand like this, but then it's sideways like that. So there's this, which actually does transform into the canopy for the vehicle mode. So this has a handle here. This bit folds in, and actually you can place this and plug it in on the back of the force field emitter on the back there for this type of effect, kind of like a backpack effect, I guess. So if you want that back there and like that look better, you certainly have that option. Size comparisons. Let's go ahead and take a look at size comparison, because in robot mode it's not too bad as far as how it scales compared to other figures, but as we'll see in vehicle form, it is quite a bit smaller, and I would say disappointingly so. So let's start off with size comparison for robot mode here. Let me bring in Reveal the Shield Jazz, a deluxe figure, of course, and the Classics Universe Reveal the Shield Bumblebee figure. So they scale pretty well with each other. Trail Breaker, Trail Cutter here, whatever you want to call them, is perhaps a bit small in comparison to Jazz and Bumblebee, but really it's when we get to the actual vehicle mode that he really suffers in terms of size. So let me get rid of these figures here, and let's go ahead and transform this guy. Let's just fold up the hands there, and actually what we need to do is start with the feet, fold up the toes, and there is a little assembly here. You pull this out, untab it, and that actually goes back in like that and kind of collapses on itself. So like that, and then this tabs together to become the rear section of the truck mode or the vehicle mode. Next up, it kind of happens automatically, but there's this little plate here that's tabbed into the torso. There's a slot in the tab. You can see that is basically the what becomes the hood of the vehicle mode here. So basically you want to straighten everything out here and rotate this up, line everything up like that, as you can see. And you want to take the head here, rotate it around, and it goes down at that little cavity there. I forgot to mention this has articulation, but I kind of showed that when I showed you the storage for that. So now coming to the arms, you want to rotate the gray piece around here such that it's not going to cause issues with ground clearance once it's in vehicle mode. So I think it has to go like this, and then you can see these wheels fold in. Actually, you want to go ahead and also, the arms are like this. Take that panel out, these become the slide doors of the vehicle form. And you want to have the arms such that they're going into the car like this. There's actually a tab there and a tab there in a slot. So rotate these around so that, have it like that. Rotate this panel up. As you can see, this is going to form the side, or one side of the truck mode. Looks like I need to rotate this out just a little bit more. And then again, there's a tab and a slot. You want to make sure these are facing each other so they actually tab into place. There we go. They're actually tabbed together now. And now it's just a matter of lining up the rest of the tabs. You can see there's a tab there. It goes in there. Get everything sandwiched together as much as you can. Line everything up. And then you want to put the cab section on. There is a peg hole there, a peg right there. It's going to go in like that and form the canopy section, or the back part of the truck mode here. Rolls pretty well, as you can see, and the key is to get these gray bits such that they don't cause clearance issues with the tires. As I mentioned in my hoist review, the tires here on the front are sort of like split in half, so you only have the outer edge of the tire that's actually rotating, whereas this part is stationary in place. So there is that. So now we come to the size of the vehicle mode. As you can see, it fits in my hand, but let me go ahead and bring in a deluxe class figure. This is Swerve, aka Sideswipe. And as you can see, they are quite different in size. Now granted, this is the earlier movie line, so those figures were bigger than the sort of downsized figures that we've been getting in some of these releases, but there you go, just an illustration of the size difference there. Let me also grab, I have Generations Warpath here. I happen to have him in tank mode. Let me go ahead and show you that. I actually did the same comparison in my hoist review, but you know, I think most people have these figures and kind of get an idea of, kind of gives you an idea of what size we're talking about here. So yeah. You may have noticed the hood here is kind of pushed down. It needs to be flush against the top. So what you can do is you can kind of push up on the arms here, and that kind of makes it all flush again. So there you go. So neat little vehicle mode, and keyword being little, you know. So keyword is, yeah, it's unfortunate, but at least in the robot mode, it's actually a decent sized deluxe in robot mode. Alright, so finally, I'll go ahead and show you a look, or have you show you a look at the actual comic here. Adjust my tripod here. And as you can see, some really nice artwork here. Sorry about the glare. Nice artwork there of TRAILCUTTER. So I'll give you a little pan on this. And it's cool because they show you little information here. It says basically this takes place during the events of Transformers More Than Meets the Eye, Volume 2. There are the creators. And the style of this particular comic is a little bit not my taste. And what I mean by that is they draw in expressions on the robot's face. Here you can kind of see he's kind of like has pursed lips. More examples here on the following pages. There's another example. There's a kind of example of being shocked. Angry face is fine, but other expressions kind of, I don't know, they don't really jive too well with me. I've kind of got used to them, but still kind of weird seeing expressions on robots' faces. Maybe that's just me. You can see there he looks like he's surprised. So it's basically a story. I won't give you the details, but it's basically a story of TRAILCUTTER not being recognized for his talents, and basically people are questioning, his fellow Autobots are questioning his place on the team and what value he has for the team. But he comes up with a really neat way to defeat the enemy at the end, and that's all I'll say about that. So there you go, TRAILCUTTER. Again, not a bad figure. Robot mode is decent in terms of size. The vehicle mode, as I just showed you a few minutes ago, not as great. But it's a neat little figure. I like the design. I like the fact that it's a homage to basically Trailbreaker, even though the name is TRAILCUTTER. I'm sure that's for copyright reasons or something to do of that nature. So there you go. Transformers Generations Deluxe Class Trailbreaker or TRAILCUTTER.